Hello, guys, and welcome back to Wrong One. And here we are with our first podcast. And we had thought to bring this before the IPL, but unfortunately, due to other activities, we couldn't bring it. So here we are with the first episode of Wrong One Cricket Podcast. And along with me, I have my colleague and co-workers, as you can say, Saikat Chakravarti from Kolkata and Samir Diodhar from Mumbai. But today we'll be discussing on four teams, how they have performed and what we can expect from them in the coming days. We'll start with the two teams which who played the two matches today, SRH and Kolkata Knight Riders. I'll just throw it to Saikat and Samir to start giving their opinions and take it forward. Saikat, you can start with the today's match, Kolkata Knight Riders. What do you think? How they performed and are they more like a bowling team right now? What do you think?
Hi Krishna. So today it was the eighth match of the tournament. So this was an interesting toss. After David Warner won the toss, he elected to bat first. So all the previous seven matches, the captains who have won the toss, they elected to bowl. But
Okay.
Warner tried to set a target and he persisted with that. So KKR in their first match against MI, their bowling attack looked a bit shaky. They leaked a lot of runs, especially in the power play overs when their marquee bowler Pat Cummins, he was thumped by Rohit Sharma. He was struggling with his length, but this time around he was on the money as would KKR expected him to be. He's a strike bowler. He does the job for Australia, and he did that for KKR today. And also KKR today changed a few personnel. They had taken in Varun Chakraborty, the mystery spinner from Tamil Nadu, and also they have taken in Kamlesh Nagarpati, who played this match after two years. This was his first competitive match, and they also played Shivam Mavi and their two veteran spinners, Deep and Sunil Narayan. So KKR bowled really well today. So the length was the key factor in the last match when they leaked a lot of runs against Mumbai. So all the fast bowlers they bowled shorter length in that match. So in this match they pushed a little further and bowled mostly in the good length area, which worked for them. Pat Cummins picking up the wicket of Bairstow in his first over was a good thing for the franchise going forward, because he's the most experienced fast bowler, and for KKR to achieve success in this IPL, they need to have Pat Cummins need to have a good season. So yeah, it was a good performance from the
Great.
KKR side.
Okay. So, Sabir, what do you feel about Shubman Gill's innings? Was this a more matured approach you have ever seen him with the bat? He more or less eased out the top order's batting. I mean, there was you can't say a collapse. It was more of a shouldering the responsibility by Shubman Gill. What do you say about Shubman Gill, Samir?
Shubman has always been the aggressive batsman, but along with Sunil Narayan at the top, one has to be the anchor of the innings, and he has taken the responsibility well. After Narayan failed in both games, he was looking well against MI also, but threw in his wicket cheaply. He thought about it maybe before the first game and had come out with intention to take the game till the end, and he found a very promising, very able partner in Owen Morgan, and that helped him to stay unbeaten at the end.
Okay. I was just reading a tweet from Kevin Peterson. I mean, he wants Shubman Gill to be the captain, and I, in fact, was just when KKR lost a couple of wickets, early wickets. Was interacting with my few college mates, and there was a talk that if Karthik, I mean, if KKR disappoints to win this one and maybe the next match, there might be some talks on DK's captaincy. What do you guys think about it?
See, on the captaincy front, I think KKR has a solid core and they won't change the captain mid-season, even if the results don't go their way. So they have a lot of leadership in their camp, as DK has been the captain the last season. So they are botting Morgan and Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins is the vice captain of Australian team, and he has been in leadership roles throughout his career in various teams. And Morgan, as you know, Captain Morgan, the World Cup winning captain. So there are a lot of experience and a leadership, but everybody, I think, under and also because of Brendan McCullum in there, who has been one of the most influential white balls captain in the last 10 years, along with certain Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So there is a stability there, and I don't think so. Morgan, Pat Cummins, Russell, everyone knows their role, and Karthik is a nice guy and he handles situation well. Though I would suggest that Morgan should bat at number 4 and Karthik at number 5, because that gives a better balance to the team. Because Morgan is a more aggressive player and he has been more successful batting slightly up or higher in the order for England. And Dinesh Karthik, as we all know, is a good finisher. And today he is a very good player of spin. And today he missed a wrong one from Rashid Khan. So we are talking about that in our wrong one podcast.
Yeah, he absolutely missed the wrong one, and here we are with our right points on the KKR's approach in this match. And what do you guys think going forward, Samir? Whom do you think would be the three picks or the three players to look forward in the coming weeks matches for Kolkata Knight Riders?
Shubman Gill is definitely one. You cannot rule out Andre Russell. He is not in form since CPL, but you just cannot rule out that man. He can take away games easily in the last 5 overs. So he will be the second man to watch out for. And
Okay.
third, not a popular choice, but I would like to go with Nagarkoti, who has been impressive in his first game after a couple of years and is looking extremely fit this year round to even lead the KKR bowling side if Pat Cummins fails.
Okay. Saikat,
Hello.
Samir is going
Yeah,
with.
I would like to add some. I would like to add something. Nagarkoti is a good choice. We all hope that he's fit to play all the games going ahead. Mavi has
Okay.
bowled well in the first game and today also. So KKR today went in with 7 bowlers and 7 options. Yeah. So Varun Chakravarti had a great game today. So he bowled 4 overs. So Mavi and Nagarkoti both bowled two each. Kuldeep bowled two, and Andre Russell, who will probably be the death bowler for for the KKR team. So there is a good mix there. But I think that Shubman is obviously a key. I would think that Morgan, the way he played, Morgan is a very key batsman in the team, because in the middle order there is a very little experience apart from Karthik and Russell. Those two are good finishers. Russell is the one of the greatest T20 players of all time. But I think this year is Morgan's year. I mean, has to be one of the key players if this team has to go forward.
Okay. Okay. So Shubman Gill, Nagarkote, Russell, and the fourth option, if any, is Ian Morgan. Is it?
Yeah, Morgan
Okay.
should be there.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
so it can be
he
a
has
toss-up
proved himself
between
in the
Nagarkote
international
or
stage.
Ian Morgan.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Nagarkoti has also he's easing into the fitness and the full match practice. So it will take some time, but he's a very good prospect. I agree with Sam.
Okay. So I had a point here. We are looking at a bit of inexperience in the bowling attack apart from the pace attack. I mean, of course, when I say bowling attack, there is experience in terms of Pat Cummins and Sunil Narayan. So, lack of fitness or lack of support from Andrew Russell in terms of experience in the bowling department will be slightly a tough situation for KKR to be in. And Nagarkote, Varun Chakravarti, they have to be persistent. There is no denying that. But some point of time, maybe they will be up against a situation where their lack of experience might come into picture. What do you guys want to say to end up the discussion on Kolkata Knight Riders? We'll move on to SRH post that.
Yeah, there will be some games where those inexperienced bowlers will get under the pump. But then in those situations, you would ideally assume that the senior players will take the role to guide them. And if in some games they leak a lot of runs, but it shouldn't hamper their confidence because as you know, it's 14 games every team will play, and you have to have the mindset to play each game as its own. It shouldn't hamper your mindset going forward. And Pat Cummins, Sunil Narayan, Andre Russell, these three has to take the responsibility to guide all the other bowlers. See, Kuldeep has been one of the key members of the team, but he hasn't had a great IPL last time around. And the first game against Mumbai, he also got hit by. He was not good. So today he bowled 2 overs. He gave away 15 runs, but he looked good, and he is bowling quicker this time around. He has some uh, bowling act. He has some tinkered his bowling action, and he bowled well. He's bowling quicker, and I think it will suffice. Only time will tell whether this KKR bowling lineup will stood out or not. But at this point of time, they look good.
Okay, great. So moving on to Sunrisers Hyderabad, I saw the first match against RCB where Hyderabad played against RCB. I almost saw 75 to 80% of the match. Uh, I felt it was more like they choked it basically. Pandey and Bairstow were going really well. Then Chahal came in, a wrong one, as you can say, picked Bairstow. He couldn't pick, Bairstow couldn't pick Chahal. And then Pandey threw his wicket. So they collapsed post that. Uh, is there a lack of lack of finishers in SRH or lack of experience, maybe at the lower middle order, which is going to be the key concern going forward. Apart from that, the top order is great. Stability can be brought by Williamson, which they are not persisting because of the four rules, four-player policy, foreign players policy. So, is there a lack of lower middle order stability and experience, which is going to be a factor for SRH going forward? What do you think, Samir?
Definitely, there is a void in the middle order. But one positive they have is that Jason Holder will be joining them soon after this coming week, and he'll bring experience in the bottom order. But then there will be a good what we say mix up between Holder and Nabi. If they are playing in Sharjah, they'll most probably go with Holder, where they need the batting prowess of him. On the other two pitches, where spin is more suitable, they'll probably go in with Nabi. But again, Nabi bats too low. He should be around number 5 maximum, so that he can take the players with him till the end if there is a collapse at the top. If there is no collapse, then either Bairstow or Warner or Pandey, they are suitable to take the innings till the end. So they will have to plan their players well and then take them into the game thinking about the pitch as well.
Great. Saikat, this was really surprising for quite a few. I was checking the social media reactions. Saha coming in today was totally taken by surprise by a few. What do you feel, Saikat? What role was Saha playing in today's match?
See, Shah has historically been really good against KKR. If you remember the final, which Kings 11 and played against
Absolutely, I do
Kolkata.
remember in
Yeah, yeah,
Bangalore.
yeah. He scored.
He
Yeah,
pays
yeah.
his
He
innings
scored a
really
hundred.
well. He pays his innings really
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
As one of the best T20 knocks I've in fact seen in a Bangalore ground. To be honest, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But the thing is that Shah in T20 cricket has been an opener, or he hasn't just clicked in the IPL setup. So I was kind of surprised because they picked Ridhiman Shah. So in the batting lineup, SRH looks really shaky. They have a really top heavy batting lineup. But after that, post Manish Pandey, there are no real set guys. I mean, there are a lot of youngsters who might come up well in the upcoming days, but none have shown some promise yet. So they have to sort that out. And the other thing that I am really surprised with SRH, that historically, since the Hyderabad franchise become Sunrisers Hyderabad, they have been a really good bowling attack. So both their pace attack and the spinners with Rashid, Nabi. So today they picked Abhishek again, Abhishek Sharma. So they the spin department looks good. Rashid and Nabi will consistently give you overs. But as Samir said before, that there is only four places for foreigners. So Jason Holder is coming here, coming to play, join the team, and so Warner is the captain, and Bairstow they're the two. Then you have to pick Rashid Khan. Then there is only one spot. So either Mohammad Nabi or you have to pick Jason Holder. But I would say that the main thing that think was lacking in their bowling attack was pace from the fast bowlers. So Bhuvaneshwar, Sandeep Sharma in the last match, so Natarajan and Khalil Ahmed, they are both medium pace swing bowlers, but none of them has express pace. I mean, express as in 140 up consistently. So in some of the matches, as we are seeing in it was the tournament, that genuine fast bowlers are producing the goods for their respective teams.
absolutely.
So in some matches, will be interesting to see if they bring in Billy Stanley for some matches, because see, SRH has to find their right balance for the side. Yeah, because their middle order lacks experience, they lack power, as as every team has in that power hitters, and their bowling attack lacks
A
a
bit
little
of
bit of
rabada, is it?
feistiness, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So as you, yeah, as you said, every team has the bases covered. I mean, not every team. In fact, a good team would like to have all the bases covered. If you see the Mumbai Indians or a Chennai Super Kings, most of their bases are covered. With regard to Hyderabad, as we all again discussed it last 5 minutes, is there a concern that they are actually missing Shakibul Hasan over here?
Yeah, definitely. They're missing Shakib. But the thing is that, see, Shakib and Nabi, yes, Shakib is a more experienced player. He has been in excellent form. But yeah, you have Mohammad Nabi. But what they're missing is, it's not the overseas players they're missing. They're missing good Indian middle order batsmen. I mean, guys whom you can expect something. I mean, you can expect something from the youngsters, but some experienced Indian guys who are the core, who will be your core of the team, like Delhi or the other franchises who have good Indian batsmen, Indian core to guide the other spots. So they're missing a good middle order batsman, and otherwise they have a good squad. I mean, they have Shabaz Nadim in the squad. I was really surprised to see not to see him play. I mean, he has been a brilliant bowler in the IPL, and I think he should play. I mean, he gives a lot of variation to your bowling lineup.
Great. And moreover, I felt, see, when you're talking about SRH, people usually relate it to their top two powerhouses, David Warner, Bairstow, and then there's Manish Pandey in the middle order, and then again Rashid Khan and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. So, is there a sense of predictability in terms of what you expect from SRH? I mean, there's always been SRH has always been a bowling unit, as you said. They have been popularly known to restrict teams around 140s, 150s, even 130 sometimes. So I kind of feel that there's a sense of predictability with regard to SRH, what to expect. And the teams have started to understand what to expect from SRH. Saikat, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, see, there is a certain expectation and the certain predictability to SRH's style of play, as you say. But you have to understand that they have a really top-heavy batting, and Bairstow and Warner has been in excellent form in the last year's IPL. And
True.
they also have Kane Williamson, who can't be picked into the team because you can only play 4 overseas guys. So the main thing that has been in the 2 games that has been played till today is that in those 2 games, so their middle order has looked shaky, as we all can also saw,
Yeah.
and their bowling line and their bowling, I mean, which has been their strength, hasn't looked as par like other years. So there are various reasons on that can be. So one might be the rustiness that everyone is coming to play after a big gap, and so it will take time for them to ease into the groove. But other than that, the variation in the fast bowling, the spin department is still good. They have two quality spinners, and a brilliant Indian spinner in Shahbaz Nadeem. Abhishek Sharma looks promising. So, but their fast bowling, so the pace, the lack of pace is really hurting them.
True, true. So, shouldn't be a great challenge for you guys to pick the three or the top four guys who can be expected to performing in the coming week for the next couple of matches or 3 matches, in fact, if SRH is going to play in the next week. So, whom do you guys think would be the top three or top four?
I would
Yeah,
like to go with, of course, David Warner. They need Rashid Khan to start picking up wickets now. He just picked one in the second game, I guess, and he needs to take the responsibility now. They'll need at least a couple of wickets each game from Rashid, so he'll be the second person. And most probably Bhuvi. Bhuvi is the death bowler they need when it comes to pacers. So he'll probably be the third one I'm talking about for the next week or so.
So, David Warner, Rashid Khan, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Sekat, what are your picks? Should be more or less the same. Maybe one other player, maybe. What do you say, Sekat?
yeah, I will completely agree with Samir, but I will also pick Manish Pandey. He has to take up the responsibility that he has been taking for the last couple of years, and he's the key batsman in the middle order. So in today's game, he was seen limping out of the ground. I hope it's not a serious injury. Uh, I certainly hope it's not a hamstring injury. I feel it's probably a cramp, but Manish Pandey has to be there. I mean, he has to take the responsibility. And I would also say that they are the all-rounders in the T20 format. Every great T20 team should have some brilliant all-rounders. So they have Mohammad Nabi, and they will have uh, Jason Holder, and they also have Fabian Allen. But the problem is that they can only play one of those all-rounders in a match. So their Indian all-rounders, the most notably Vijay Shankar, he has to have a good tournament. And also Abhishek Sharma, he's a young kid and he looked good in the last 2 matches. But Vijay Shankar and Abhishek Sharma, they has to perform. They have to perform in order to put their team ahead. That's all.
Great. Okay. So, moving on to the next team, Samir and Saikat, we are done with today's two teams. So, we will be discussing on the other two teams, Rajasthan Royals and Mumbai Indians. We'll start with Samir's city, Mumbai Indians. Samir would. I'll leave it to you, Samir. You take it forward. What do you think went wrong with Mumbai in the first match in the greatest rivalry of IPL between Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings? What went wrong for Mumbai Indians, and then how did they bounce back? And what do you foresee in the future next 12 matches for Mumbai Indians? Samir, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the greatest rivalry. I wouldn't worry as a Mumbai fan. And yes, they were a bit rusty in the first game. The fielding was not as usual. Uh, we saw fielding errors from Hardik Pandya, Rohit Sharma, uh, and the rustiness was also seen in their batting a bit. The only partnership worthy of being called a real partnership was their opening partnership. Uh, Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma got off to a good start with 46 on the board, and then as it has been for MI, they never get going in the first game. They kept losing wickets at regular intervals, and then in the next 116 runs, they lost 9 wickets and found themselves 162 for 9. Uh, Same errors were expected from them in the second game as well, but they picked up, so nothing to worry about that. Even the fielding was a bit better in the second game. Hardik returned with 2 catches on the boundary, 3 I guess. But we can say that once Rohit Sharma is in form, all the other troubles go away for Mumbai Indians. They scored 194 for 5 in the second game against KKR. They had Pat Cummins in the bowling lineup. Pat Cummins actually did not adjust to the length
Pat
that should
Cummins
be
is
bowled
in
in the
Kolkata.
UAE.
Samir, Pat Cummins in Kolkata. Probably you.
Yeah.
So you're
No,
talking
I'm
about.
talking
Yeah.
about
Okay. Great.
KKR.
Okay.
Yeah, he did not adjust from the Australian lines to UAE lines probably and bowled exactly what Rohit wanted. And Rohit hit him for a couple of sixes in the death, and he never recovered. He scored around 80, and Mumbai Indians looked in great touch in the second game, and I don't think there is any reason to worry. The only thing that was probably not good for MI in the first game was the batting, where they could not rack up proper partnerships, and they did that in the second game. Surya has returned to form with a brilliant 47. Unfortunately, he got run out, but was looking great. He could have carried on, and Mumbai would have gone past 220, I guess. But 195 was not less either.
Great.
So we can say MI are in a comfortable position when it comes to batting. In the bottom order, I'll say Hardik Pandya has not yet got in real touch with the bat. Kyron Pollard was also not finding the middle. Krunal is always, we cannot depend on Krunal Pandya as a finisher. He can play the anchor role in the last 5 to 7 overs where the others can hit, and he can keep the one end up. So he did that in the second game, but he should have been better still. When it comes to bowling, Bumrah again, first game not so good, second game back to his best. The only blip once again came against Pat Cummins, but that happens to the very best, as we have seen. Cummins hit for 49 in the first innings, and then Bumrah considered 27 in just 1 over to Cummins. So that's fine. That keeps happening in T20 cricket.
Great.
And the only part remaining is the spin. Rahul Chahar. He's a youngster, so he'll need some time to get adjusted to the lines in UAE. And I'm sure he'll be one of the best when it comes to spin.
Great. So just to confirm, Rahul is brother of Deepak Char, right?
Yeah, he's a cousin.
Your cousin brother, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Saikat, I've always had this $1 million question here. Whenever I see Mumbai Indians, I think this is the most common question asked by everyone. Why do they keep Pollard and Pandya at 5 or sometimes 5 and 6 or sometimes, uh, I mean, not earlier than 5 or 6. They don't come in before 5 or 6. So, what is the strategy behind that? I've always wondered this, and in fact, it has worked for them. I'm not denying it. So it doesn't work for them. It has worked for them, and but quite a few times, whenever they have reached to the top four, they've had a tough time in the league games. I mean, they found it difficult, and maybe a couple of games, if not more, at least a couple of games where Pandya or Pollard have rescued them. So doesn't it make sense to bring them at 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 or something like that?
Yeah, it might make sense, but the thing is that both of them are big hitters. I mean, they can come in and start hitting the ball from the word go. But the thing is that the first four, those guys are your main guys. I mean, your best player should play the most deliveries. I mean, it's not only about hitting every ball. It's about pacing our innings. So both of them are experienced players, especially Karan Pollard, who has had an exceptional CPL. He won with Trivago Knight Riders.
Yeah,
So Karen Pollard can be pushed, but the thing is that the logic, I think, is that the psychologically when a bowling side knows that after we get this guy, we'll have Karen Pollard and then we'll have Hardik Pandya or vice versa. So it helps in a run chase or when you are batting first. So if the first three gives you a good platform, then you can push up the guys ahead. So your big hitters ahead to get you a big score. But when you are chasing, so you should your first four should lay the foundation, and then when your asking rate is high, then your dashers can come in and claim the match. I think that is the strategy.
absolutely. I mean, I kind of agree. I'm not denying that, but there have been quite a few games where I've seen Pollard and Pandya were not in a position to help them win matches. I mean, the run rate when chasing would have touched maybe some 14 or 15 in the last 7 overs, and you're chasing some 100 runs at the end of last 7 overs. It's quite challenging, right? I mean, again, as I said, it's all in their strategy and thinking. Going forward, I see them doing well. As echoing Sameer's thoughts, there is a bit of rustiness, you can say. Usually, there's a trend for Mumbai first 4 5 matches at least. They take time to pick up. So, what do you guys think? Who could be the pick for the fantasy league or the Dream 11? A few Mumbai guys, 3 4 Mumbai guys in this week, coming weeks matches for them. What do you guys think?
Sorry, I'll just address the question you asked before, and then we'll go back to the
Yeah,
thing,
go ahead,
Dream
Samir.
11
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Sajid.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so the thing is that when you asked why Hardik and Pollard they don't come up, the thing is that those guys have some certain skills which others don't have. I mean, you can't ask a Saurav Tiwari or a Ishan Kishan or whoever you're playing to play as a finisher, not only as a finisher. You have to be a dasher and also a finisher. So those two qualities are not really available in the squad other than these two guys. So that is why they are those 5 and 6, and sometimes it jumbles. Kunal comes ahead and stuff like that. So these two guys, Hardik Pandya and Karan Pollard, they are their core strength. I mean, in the lower order, they're the core strength. They're match winners. So that is why sometimes they try to protect them, and sometimes it's a mind game that the Rohit plays or the team management plays with the other team. Especially when you see that MSD is not coming ahead. He's batting at number 7. Yeah. So these things are a little mind games that the opposition know that we still have to get these two guys to make sure we win the match. So these kind of mind games are being played in the T20 format. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll start with Samir. Who are your 3 or 4 picks from Mumbai Indians in the next few matches who can perform and be a part of the fantasy league?
I would like to go first with Hardik Pandya. Hardik is slowly improving in the fielding area. he'll probably be back with his batting prowess in this second week of the IPL, and I'll surely pick him in my Dream 11 fantasy team if I had to be playing. The second person will be Jasprit Bumrah. We saw what he did against Russell, so we can say that he is back to his accurate best. And in the coming matches, he'll be needed if the MI side is bowling second, in especially in Sharjah where the runs are coming off thick and thin, and Bumrah will be the man to go to in the second innings if they are bowling. If I have only three choices, there will be a bit of mix up between Rohit Sharma and Surya Kumar Yadav. Rohit is averaging around 25 in the last three seasons, so I'll not be sure if Rohit still be that what we can say consistent with his performances in the coming week. But Surya Kumar has been consistent for the past 2 years, so I'd more probably pick Surya Kumar as my third option and Rohit Sharma as my fourth option.
So it's Kieron Pollard, Hardik Pandya, Surya Kumar Yadav, and if there is a fourth option, it will be Rohit Sharma, right?
No, Hardik Pandya, Jasprit Bumrah, Surya
Okay.
Kumar Yadav, and fourth option as Rohit Sharma.
So there is no Kieron Pollard in the three. Okay.
No.
Okay. It's a tough choice, man. Seriously, it's a tough choice when you're picking the top three or the pick for the
But it's a
1 week's
champion team. It's
performance.
filled of match winners.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. So, Saikat, what do you say? Who would be your three picks for the upcoming week's top three performers, if you can say, for Mumbai Indians would be?
So it's tough to disagree with some area, but I would say I would just, for the argument's sake, I will pick three different players for the. So that pace attack looks excellent this year. I mean, Pattinson and Bolt are excellent along with Bumrah. They have the best pace attack in the tournament. I mean, Rabada is the best bowler probably in the tournament, but the best pace attack has to be MIs. So another thing that I was shocked, I mean surprised, not shocked, was to see Saurav Tiwari going ahead of Ishan Kishan. I mean, because MIR going ahead with Quinton de Kock, that's why probably Ishan didn't get the nod. But Saurav Tiwari has looked good in the last two matches that I have seen. So he looked good, and the pace battery is excellent. So with Hardik Pandya, Hardik is recovering from injury, and he's not fully fit, I guess. I mean, he hasn't bowled, and during the interviews that the commentators take between the match, he told the commentators that it will take some time. So Kieron Pollard, I think, will have a big tournament for MI. Yeah. So these are my picks.
So I'll just summarize. Kieron Pollard. Who are the other two, Saikat? Kieron Pollard and
Kieron Pollard over Hardik Pandya.
Okay, other two.
Kieron Pollard over Hardik Pandya, because Pandya isn't bowling and Pollard is bowling, and he also is in good nick.
So the other two are Jasprit Bumrah and Rohit
No,
Sharma.
no. Other two are Trent Bolt and James Pattinson.
Oh, so you're going with the bowlers, is it?
Yeah.
But Saikat, do you see Pattinson and Bolt playing together going forward with the restriction?
So see, the thing is that the ball is the pitches are not going to slow. I mean, they hasn't at this point, but probably they will change depending upon the situation. But
Okay,
when
but
there is,
for the coming week, these two were most likely to play.
yeah, because the thing is that they don't have a big spinner in their ranks. I mean, apart from the Indian guys, they don't have a big spinner in their ranks, overseas spinner that they can pick in. They have Nathan Coulter-Nile and Mitchell McClenaghan. So they only have pacers that they can cover in their overseas spot. So they don't have a spinner to drag in to their 11. So I will think those two guys have bowled really well in the last two matches. Probably they will carry on with that.
Great. So we are done with three teams: Kolkata Knight Riders, Sunrisers Hyderabad, and the champion team, as Samir says, Mumbai Indians. And we'll be heading to the fourth and the final team of our first podcast, reviewing the last week's performance of these four teams and what to expect from these four teams in the coming week and who can be the top three picks for each team. The fourth team is the Pink Army, the Rajasthan Royals. Rajasthan Royals had a thumping victory in their first match. They would be playing the second match in the coming days. Rajasthan Royals. Couldn't see the whole match, but I could see the last few overs of Rajasthan Royals batting, and boy, Jofra Archer didn't he whack a few at the end. So let's open it. Samir, what do you feel about the first match which took place between Rajasthan Royals and the Super Kings?
Too early to judge what will be coming up, so let's keep our focus on what happened so far. Sanju Samson always plays one big knock every season in the first half and fades away in the later half.
Samir, come on, yeah. The whole world is saying he's the best guy to be playing around. What do you think, yeah? I mean, what do you think, yeah?
Yes, if
He
we
fades
look at
away,
that
yeah,
one knock
yeah, yeah,
and we
true.
judge, yeah, if we judge him by that one knock, he'll definitely be one of the contenders for orange cap every season. But what happens to him in the remaining 11 to 12 games of the Rajasthan Royals every season? If he has to take Rajasthan Royals forward, he'll have to play such knocks at least twice or thrice in the next 13 games they have, at least.
Absolutely.
Along with him,
I kind
yeah,
of agree with regard to Sanju Samson. I mean, just kidding a couple of minutes back. There is a sense of inconsistency, to be honest. He is a gem of a
true.
player. His ability is no doubt the best white ball wicket keeper. I mean, top three, top four, maybe if not top two in going around in the country. Consistency, last, in fact, correct me, Samir, he's been with Rajasthan since almost 5 years, right? Now, since last 5 years or since the
True,
beginning
true.
itself.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he needs to at least come up with 4 to 5 such innings. As you said, one or two innings will probably help Rajasthan win a couple of matches. But 4 to 5 innings would definitely cement his place. If not cement, I mean, no, sorry, will give him more opportunity to flourish in the Indian team also. Is it so? What do you think, Saikar?
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. He needs to perform on a more regular basis. I mean, we can all see the talent that he possesses, but the thing is that you have to perform consistently. If you have to grab the, not, I'm not talking about only IPL, also about the national setup. So you have to perform consistently to be in the Indian team, because see, we all know that he's a wicketkeeper batsman. So right now, KL Rahul is also wicket keeping, and he has been in excellent form, as you all saw the last match against RCB. Rishabh Pant is there, and then Sanju Samson is also there. So he has to perform really well. In the last 3-4 years in IPL, he started off really well, but then in the later stages he faded away. But this year, if he has to get into the Indian setup, he has to have a great tournament, a consistent tournament.
What do you think about the first match, Saikar, of the Rajasthan Royals?
See, they played really well. Sharjah is a really small stadium, so every game we can expect a big run fest. So the pitch was flat, and Samson played a blinder of an innings. Steve Smith carried the he played the sheet anchor role, and all the guys played around him. So in the first match, so Rajasthan didn't have a lot of their key player, and mostly two. So they didn't have Josh Butler, and they also didn't have Ben Stokes. So if when these two comes in, so they will have a different, really potent lineup. And Tom Curran and Geoffrey Archer, they both can bat, and if their batting is as good as they have shown in the first match, then they have a really good, strong team going ahead.
Okay. What do you feel about Robin Uthappa's role in the Rajasthan Royals middle order? With just only one match, you can't really. But what was the whole mindset behind bringing in Robin Uthappa? They had a few youngsters. They went ahead with Robin Uthappa, and in the bowling also, there is a bit of in lack of experience with regard to Indian bowlers. So, what do you see about this combination, Samir?
Yeah, Robin Uthappa was a bit of a surprise actually. He has not been in form for KKR also last year, I guess. And there was Riyan Parag in the ranks. Along with him, we have Manan Vora as well, who can definitely be one of the floaters for Rajasthan Royals. There's Mahipal Lomror. He got an opportunity last year but did not continue to be in the playing 11. He can be given a few choices if Uttapa fails yet again. And probably they'll have to do away with Tom Curran once Josh Butler is back. So the batting order will, as as of what we'll say, it will already be strengthened. So they'll more probably go in with an all-rounder like Mahipal Lomror, if not Manan Vora. Is my opinion.
When is RR playing next? So, Josh is expected to play Butler.
Yes,
Yeah,
Josh Butler is
probably.
expected to play.
Yeah.
So,
The
they
quarantine
have
rule is
to
over.
drop Tom, is it?
Yeah, most probably they
They will
can drop
probably
Smith
they will
or
probably drop
Archer.
Miller. I think they will probably drop Miller in place of
But it's
Josh
controversial.
Butler. Yeah, because see, so when Josh Butler comes in, Steve Smith will probably not open. He will go to number 3 probably. If so, Yashasvi Jaiswal might open with
Butler.
Josh Butler. Yeah,
Yeah.
then Steve Smith comes in, then Sanju Samson, then whoever in place of Robin Uthappa. If none, then the man himself, Mr. Uthappa. Then the usual lineup that they played the last time around.
Okay, okay, great. So, uh, let me pick the three guys who can be in the fantasy league or the Dream 11 team of for the coming week who can perform well for Rajasthan Royals. If Josh is playing, Josh would be the number one pick. I believe Jaidev has a role to play, so he would be my second pick. He's coming off after a brilliant Ranji season. So I think he has a role to play. He would be the second guy. Third one, Steve Smith. Yeah, I mean we have to go with him. So he's the guy who is expected to bring stability in the middle order and the captaincy's role with the experience he has had in the past. So Steve Smith, Jaidev Unadkat, and Josh if he's playing, else Jaiswal. So whom do you guys think the three could be?
I will
Uh,
pick Josh probably, yeah. But I will probably go ahead with Sanju Samson first because he has been in supreme nick as we all seen in the last match. So I'll pick Sanju first. Then I'll pick Jofra, and then see I think Shreyas Gopal is a really good player, and but in Sharjah the spinners even any bowlers it's going to be a tough ask for the bowlers to bowl in Sharjah because the pitch is really flat and the ground is really small. I mean, it's probably smaller than the grounds in India. So I will go ahead with the batsman. I will pick Steve Smith.
So your pick are Steve Smith, Jofra Archer, Josh Butler if he's playing. If Josh is not playing, who would be the third guy?
If Josh is not playing, then I will go with Yashasvi Jaiswal. I think he looks really good player, and as we have seen in the tournament, the younger players are really taking up the mantle, and he is the main guy in terms of inexperienced Indian players. He's the main player, so I think he might have a great game in the next game.
Okay, so overall the four players are as per you: Yashasvi Jaishal, Steve Smith, Josh Butler, and Jofra Archer. Is it?
Absolutely, absolutely right.
Okay, good that you brought Shreyas Gopal's point. They are a brilliant spinner. In fact, I was seeing a few videos of just the WhatsApp forwards from some of his fans, maybe where he uh, got Kohli and ABD a few times, right? The wrong ones, maybe. So yeah, so a good bowler, a handy batsman too. Just that, as you said, the smaller grounds on the square sides, and even in fact, overall the grounds are pretty small. So he would have a role to play, as I told with regard to Jaydev Unadkat, the Indian guys, Jaydev Unadkat, Sanju Samson, Shreyas Gopal, all these guys have a big role to play. What do you feel, Samir?
Yeah, mostly all Indians will have to come into play because of the heat in the UAE. There will be a rotation of players as we go deep into the tournament. So I feel all the Indian youngsters, especially all-rounders, will have to chip in with their contributions as the tournament goes on.
Great. So who are your top three or four, Samir?
My top three will be first, obviously, it will be Josh Butler. Then, as Saikat earlier mentioned about KKR, that they don't have about SRS, that they don't have a great pacer. RR have one in Archer, and he'll definitely be one of the picks. And third is still hoping for Sanju Samson to keep going.
Hey, come on, yeah. Samir, you just said that he performs for a match and then he goes away
Yeah,
and
but still,
you're picking him. Huh?
yeah, I'll still be hoping for him to continue.
Okay. I hope that he performs well. A brilliant guy to watch. The best guy to in fact watch when he's in the full flow. I just hope and wish that he performs consistently and gives tough competition to KL and Rishabh to jump into the Indian squad in the limited overs format. Or to end our first podcast, these were our four teams: KKR, SRH, Mumbai Indians, and Rajasthan Royals. We'll be up with the next one. Samir and Saikat, we'll be up with the next one on the other four teams. So see you guys soon. Samir and Saikat, see ya.
Yeah,
See ya,
Yeah,
great man.
Krishna.
yeah.
See you
Bye, bye,
soon.
bye, guys. Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Yeah.
Bye
Bye.
bye.